Hello, everyone. So, welcome to the second module of the Medical Affairs series. Here in this module, very briefly, we will talk about the abbreviations which are commonly used in the field. So, we will start with abbreviations which refer to the people such as HCP, the KOL. Then we will discuss about the activities such as IIT and then Med Plan, what they mean. And then we will talk about the abbreviations such as RWE and HEOR, which refer to the evidence. And then we will try to decode all the abbreviations in an actual real life scenario. So to start with, let's first discuss the abbreviation HCP. HCP, as we have commonly heard, refers to a healthcare professional. But surprisingly, the healthcare professional may not just be the physician, may not just be the clinician. A nurse, a pharmacist, and even the physician assistants would fall under this category of the HCPs. And why this abbreviation matters? I mean, whenever we talk about the analysis of market needs. Whenever we talk about our products, we refer to this section of people as the HCPs. Coming to the next one, the KOL. KOL would stand for the key opinion leader. And as we know, as many of us have used this abbreviation, it refers to a highly respected and influential HCP. So generally, the KOL would refer to the speakers of a conference or even someone who is writing the guidelines and who is leading the clinical trials. Again, why does it matter? Because the MSL from the team of the medical affairs will have to correspond very regularly with the KOL, and the KOLs would also modify the strategy of the entire department, right? Because they will be giving you the real insights from the field. They will be sharing the real field insights with the MSL. Now, the MSL is, I have covered this topic of an MSL in an entirely different module in the second playlist. So basically, if we look at the pharma company and the HCP, so the MSL would be the bridge connecting these two slightly unrelated, not exactly unrelated, but otherwise without the MSL is the one who brings in the scientific information with him, right? So the HCP needs the scientific information, and the pharma sales team is primarily very well versed with the figures, but not the scientific information. So the MSL is the link from the pharma team, from the medical affairs department of the pharma team, who is playing an active role in the exchange. It is a two-way exchange of scientific information between the MSL and the KOL, right? So this was about the MSL, the medical science liaison. Now coming to the acronyms IIT and IIS. So IIT in the perspective of medical affairs team would mean investigator initiated trial, and IIS would be investigator sponsored study. So what exactly it means? At times what happens, the clinician or the KOL, specifically a KOL who is not a part of the pharma team. So, in a way, an external researcher would would rather manage all the aspects of a clinical study. Okay, so it is everything around the study, including the idea, the study design, and the execution, everything will be controlled by the external researcher and not the pharma company itself. Okay, so yeah, so herein, if it is related to if I mean, if the support provided by the pharma is in the form of the study drug, we would call it an investigator initiated trial, whereas if it is in the form of a grant, it would be an investigator sponsored study, right? Med plan would simply mean the medical plan for a financial year. So it is, in a way, an annual plan, annual document of the medical affairs team for a specific year around a product line, around a particular therapy area. Okay, so it will include everything. I mean, the entire strategy for publications, for the KOL management, for data generation, and medical education for the upcoming year. All the, I mean, the entire list, the tentative list of all the products which the company is planning to have in that particular year. So, in a way, it is a roadmap. Now, talking about the evidence, the RWD and RWE. RWD is the real world data, and RWE is the real world evidence. See, now, if what happens, the pharma company has actually to convince, I mean, whenever it comes up with a new drug trial, it has to take those results to the payers, which can be either the government payers or the private payers, and at the same time it has to go to the regulatory bodies with that clinical trial data. So the both the regulatory bodies and the payers individually have to get convinced with the idea. And in a country like India, since we are still still belong to the developing world, the socio-economic status would play a major role. So what happens when the pharma company approaches the payers? There is already a for example, for a disease X already in the market, there is a generic solution, drug Y. And now the pharma company has come up with a clinical trial which shows slightly more efficacy. However, remarkably reduced, I mean, one of a remarkably reduced adverse effect of a new drug Z. Okay, so now they have to convince the payers, that because the payers are already paying for that standard of care option, drug Y, which is available at a lower cost, right? Much more economic alternative is available, then they need to get convinced that why should they pay for a costlier option. So herein would come the real world evidence, the real world data. It will show that, okay, cost of this drug Z may be a little higher than the cost of drug Y. However, the a particular adverse effect which this drug Y is causing will not be caused by drug Z. And because of this particular adverse effect, the patient is not able to attend his job responsibilities. So herein, in a way, that cost effectiveness would factor in a 360-degree perspective. Getting it? So, okay, the cost of the drug plus cost of absence from the working place. So everything put together has to go to the payers and also to the regulatory bodies to prove that the new drug option, I mean, where does it actually stand in a scenario like India? So again, HEOR, very important term, especially so when you are into regulatory writing. Okay, so it stands for Health Economics and Outcomes Research. What does it mean? The field of study that demonstrates the value of a medicine. Value as in the entire 360-degree perspective. Where does it stand? Not just the pricing, not just the cost, the overall value of the medicine. It goes beyond does it work. Okay, so is it cost effective as we discussed? Okay, so it will take into account the entire value proposition, will take into account the health economics and also the outcomes. Outcomes would be like that particular aspect, the absence from the workplace. So the total outcome for that particular drug set was what? It was, we can say that overall it is more cost effective because it is having an overall positive outcome, right? So now that's all. We'll just try to apply what we discussed, all the terms which we discussed till now. So if you I mean, if you come across such a statement as part of our med plan, our MSL is meeting with a leading KOL in oncology to discuss new RWE from an IIT they conducted, which will help our HEOR team demonstrate the drug's value to payers and other HCPs. So now it should be making some sense to you, right? It should not be, it should not seem like the Mesopotamian script, right? So, what does it mean? That, okay, as part of our med plan, the strategic plan which the medical affairs department had decided on, according to that plan, the next task is a part of our next task, the MSL. The scientific person from our team will be meeting with a leading KOL, will be meeting with a leading clinician in oncology to discuss new RWE, new evidence which they generated. Who? The KOL generated. From what? From an IIT, investigator-initiated trials. So the drug was ours, the drug was pharma companies, and then the clinician ran the trial on that drug and the real world evidence which he gathered. Based on that evidence, the MSL will have a meeting, and then these insights from the meeting between the MSL and the KOL, our HEOR team, the health economics and outcome research team, will work on the value proposition of the drug, with which the pharma company will approach the payers and the regulatory bodies, right? Yeah. So that's all to summarize. Here are all those abbreviations again. And then, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.